Team Laura or Team Sarah Ann? Well, we know where AD stands, so let's get into the mess. So obviously we have that portion that we've been waiting for, that they've been dragging out for dear life, is when everybody gets together, including the people who didn't get engaged. This is happening right after Laura checked Jeramey for respectfully cheating and basically was like, bitch, I'm not an idiot. And this whole section is where we get all of the information, because we've heard Jeramey's side, and I think the general consensus is that bitch, you're a liar. But I think we were all waiting on Sarah to confirm, and confirmation we got. But interestingly, throughout the whole meetup, Laura and Sarah Ann didn't interact once. We did see Sarah Ann get confronted, but Sarah Ann wasn't confronted by Laura. She was confronted by AD. And AD was coming in like good cop, bad cop. And it was a switch between the two. And then at the very end, she was just going in on Sarah. And basically saying like, girl, you fucking with engaged men. You ain't classy, girl. Team Laura. And Sarah Ann was trying to defend herself and she was crying with the fake tears. Girl, miss me with that. But during this confrontation, Sarah Ann basically did confirm that Jeramey indeed left the door open. And she was basically under the impression that when they had their little closure talk, he was going to Laura to break up with her and for them to resume their relationship. Now, I think we all figured that out already. We didn't need Sarah Ann to confirm it for us. But it's just the audacity from Jeramey, because it's like, if you're going to lie, it's because he lies and he just doesn't do his due diligence. I feel like he just thinks that because he thinks that he's trustworthy, every time he lies, people are automatically going to believe him. And now that he's in this situation where people don't believe him, he's just flabbergasted. Because to me, it just seems like that's what he's been getting away with. Because how can you be lying out here about what happened with Sarah Ann and you haven't gone to Sarah Ann and say, this is the story, we need to stick to it? Ricky moves. So I don't know whether it's a thing where he's just a sloppy liar, or whether he just like lies so much that he believes his lies, that he genuinely believes that he did nothing wrong with Sarah Ann, and therefore he has nothing to confess. It's very weird. But what do we guys think about AD getting involved? Because this is a pattern here. She's getting involved in somebody else's relationship yet again. With the whole Kenneth situation and her, asking Kenneth whether, they've had a comprehensive chat about raising mixed race kids. Now, some people thought that she should have minded her business and it wasn't her place. But for me personally, if they both identify as pro-black, then that is a community question. So I feel like her question was valid from that standpoint. But in this situation, personally, I feel like she was sticking her nose in business. Even though, yes, I was here for the mess, I do feel like she was sticking her nose in Laura's business. And it seemed like she was going out of her way to do it, because Laura did not put her up to task. It seems like Laura had acknowledged the situation, but she just kind of didn't want to give Sarah Ann that attention. Laura has acknowledged the situation. She's processed it herself, and she doesn't need to go to Sarah Ann to confirm what she already knows. So she just wanted to basically just avoid her. So essentially, AD, from what it looks like, AD went out of her way. Nobody put her up to task, and she went out of her way to get the information out. Me personally, as a messy person, I probably would have went to go speak to Sarah Ann to get the tea. But this whole good cop, bad cop interrogation, I think it was a little bit extra, because I don't think her and Laura are close like that. I would understand if her and Laura were besties. And you know what? Maybe they became besties during this whole experiment, so maybe that was warranted. But I don't know. Like, I just feel like AD's allegiance to Laura is just very weird, considering all of the weird behavior with the bean dip stuff. Like, I don't understand why AD, you're going out of your way to fight Laura's battles when she has this weird vibe about her, personally. And it just feels like she's constantly going out of her way to help her friends, but nobody's helping her. Nobody's sitting her down to tell her, you need to dump this buffoon Clay. So, like, all of this labor that she's doing, I just feel like it's a bit much, AD, personally. But I was here for the mess. Another point people are bringing up is that, does AD have the right to judge Sarah Ann? Was she being a bit too judgy? Personally, I think everybody has the right to judge, but I think the whole interrogation thing was too much. I think she should have just got the tea and reported back, but the whole interrogation thing was a bit much, in my opinion. But then again, I don't know how close she is with Laura. If her and Laura are besties, then I would understand, because yeah, I would, if that was my bestie, I would definitely be, I probably wouldn't interrogate her. I would go and get the tea. But if if Laura's really her bestie, then I can understand why she might be coming at Sarah hard like that. But I got to hear from you guys, was AD being a friend? Was she being like a good, moral character? Is this a moral issue that needed to be addressed? Or should she have just minded her business? Does she have a habit of getting into business that doesn't concern her? Let me know what you think. But back to Sarah Ann and Laura. Now, was Sarah Ann in the wrong for chasing Jeramey when he has been engaged? Now, for me, I think this is a bit of a sticky one. For me, I'm not inclined to say that she is all the way wrong simply because of the nature of this experiment. I think it would be different if this was a regular engagement where Laura and Jeramey had been in a long-term relationship, and they had now just been getting engaged. And, Sarah had seen this relationship blossom over a year. But then again, some people do get married really quickly. Some people get married like after a month or so. So I guess you can't really put a timeline on these type of things. But I think because of this type of experiment, I'm inclined to say that Sarah Ann, I'm inclined to see the point of view where, is it wrong for Sarah Ann to go after what she wants? Because in the grand scheme of things, she's known Jeramey just as long as Laura. And if she really wants Jeramey, if she's in love with Jeramey, she feels like Jeramey is her dream guy, should she stop chasing after him just because he got engaged? Like, if you really feel like you have the chance with the love of your life, are you going to stop just because they got engaged? Now, for me personally, I'm not chasing after a man. Personally, it's not my forte. I'm not here to be a second choice. And to me, I feel like Sarah Ann is desperate chasing after Jeramey. Like, the whole DM was desperate, chasing, plotting to meet him in the club was desperate. This whole closure talk was desperate. But if that's really the love of her life, I can see why she would put that effort in to steal him. Not everybody has the same morals. Some people may understand where Sarah Ann is coming from. Some people may say, like, no, the engagement is a clear boundary. She should have stopped communicating after they got engaged. Personally, I feel like Sarah Ann, she saw Jeramey as a very good opportunity. She's working in customer service. He has his own house. She's probably thinking, Laura, she's got a good job. She can find somebody else. But me, my chances are limited. The rent, the cost of living is really getting up there, hun. Finding a man that owns his own house, I can see possibly why she was a bit desperate to get with Jeramey. Sprinkle, sprinkle. And one can say it was fair game. I mean, we've seen this show season after season. The majority of couples don't marry. The majority of couples who get engaged in the pods don't get married. So her chances of getting with Jeramey was actually quite high already. So she's already put her foot in the door. She's left the door open for him. There was a good likelihood that he was going to come through the door that she left open. So one could say that it is fair play. But ultimately, I just think Sarah Ann was very desperate. Like I said, she saw that Jeramey owned a house. She's working in customer service, and she's just thinking, like, this could be my opportunity at a nice, cushy life. She's conservative. She probably wants to be a stay-at-home wife. Like, this is her opportunity. Look at her now. She's posting all her TikToks in Jeramey's house rent-free. So, it looks like she got what she wanted. Sprinkle, sprinkle. But ultimately, I do think she was just a little bit desperate with the chasing. I think fair enough if Jeramey reached out to you and you decided, like, yeah, you want to give him a second chance. But, at least let him chase you. Let him come back to you. Like, get a compensation package. Like, you just desperate, just coming at the gate, willy-nilly, take me back, please, please, please. Have a little bit of self-respect on. And it was just a lack of accountability for me, like the fact that she just feels like she did nothing wrong because it wasn't her in a committed relationship, it was Jeramey. I definitely get that mindset, but at the same time, even if you don't have that moral compass, you know what the general consensus is. You know that the general moral consensus is that you shouldn't go after an engaged man. You shouldn't go after a man in a relationship. So for you to do that and be like, well, I did nothing wrong because it wasn't me who was engaged, I'm not the one who was making a commitment. Sarah Ann, please be serious. Please be serious. And then on top of that, the further victimization when she just kind of felt like, oh, well, all the girls are coming for me and all the girls are putting the blame on me and I didn't come here to make friends. I came here to find a man, blah, 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 blah. That's all well and good, but stand on business. Don't be talking about, well, you're not here to make friends, you're here to find a man, but then you're mad that none of the girls want to be friends with you because you're a man stealer. Like, stand on business. Stand on business. Like, when she started crying and saying, oh, well, she feels the energy of vengeance from AD, girl, be serious. Be serious. So, yeah, you know, you really wanted Jeramey. You wanted to get him. You wanted to steal him away from Laura. Okay. You do what you want to do. You do what you want to do for your life. It is your life at the end of the day. But don't be acting shocked when there's judgment on you and that the consequences are now that people are judging you and looking at you sideways. Ultimately, I don't think Jeramey is the prize here, because even though she's living rent-free in Jeramey's house, how long is that going to be? Because he seems like every year he gets a new fiance. So, you know, hopefully you're putting your savings into a nice investment or something, because so that you have something to fall back on when he kicks you out and gets a new fiance. I'm gonna hear from you guys. Do you think Sarah Ann was well within her rights to get, you know, her man? If Jeramey's the love of her life, I don't think Jeramey was the love of her life. I think she just, like I said, this was a great opportunity to, you know, have a man with money and be living rent free and having her bills paid. This was a great opportunity. But let's say Jeramey was the man of her dreams. Do you think this was fair game for Sarah Ann? And do you think that the other girls have a right to judge her? Do you think AD had a right to judge her? I gotta hear from you guys. And ultimately, are you team Sarah? Are you team Laura? Or are you just team mess? Let me know.